Sorry about that. My screenshot software kind of stopped on me there. So anyways, we want to know total value here. Total. We want the value that's currently in there to add to the value that was in there before, over and over again. So in order to accomplish that, we need to change these two moves into computes. Now, there's other ways you could do it. You can use add functions, but I'm going to do a math functions deal in another tutorial where we're going to break it down in minutes, hours, minutes, seconds here, rather than milliseconds, which is what it's in right now. So in order to do that, we're going to change these moves to computes. Now, you can go up here and you can grab a compute and you can bring it down and you can drag everything in there. Or if you know the name of the function or the instruction, you can just change it like that. Now, the reason I'm changing these two is because these are the timer values. So we're already going to be counting and incrementing the total starts. You know, we're not worried about that. So we don't want the timer to reset our totals. So we want to compute, and what we want to do is we want to say the total runtime accumulated added to our tag total runtime, and then we're going to put it in total runtime. So what we're saying is we're going to add what's in there in the timer currently to what's already in our timer, or our double integer value total runtime here. And we're going to do the same thing for downtime. Sometimes doing this is easier than trying to explain it. Most of us just work in silence with a radio on or something. We don't try and explain while doing it. So forgive me. One time tag has to be exactly what it actually is. We got our eyes. Good to go. Alright, so now when we stop, our value stays there. And when I start, it'll just begin timing from that point again. And when I stop, it'll begin timing from that point again. So now the plant manager can really see how long it's been down. So we want to be able to reset those values. That's telling me that I don't have that tag in there yet. So if we want to be able to do the reset all, we're going to have to add another row. We're going to need an XIC, and that they can be found in bit or favorites. But bit is usually where you're going to find that, XIC, and we're going to name that, what did I call it? Reset all. That we're going to call it a bool, not a dent. Make sure it's a bool. Otherwise, you're going to have to say reset all dot something. Dot 0, dot 1. Okay, so, and what we're going to do is we are going to reset every one of these functions. The counters and the timers have what's called a reset. If you look in the timer instruction palette here, it has a reset, RES. Now, all you have to do is give this reset the address of what you want to reset, and it will set the accumulated value back to 0. So they all need a reset. So again, I'm going to copy paste. This makes life so much easier. Now I got my eyes. Compile. And when I press reset, they should all go back to 0. And they did. The timers did. But the values in here did not. So if we want to move those to 0, we're going to have to do move functions. So we're going to say move 0 into our tag, not that tag. Total starts is already going to reset. We want total runtime and total downtime. Yeah, that number's already too big for my little numeric display over here, and I put it to 8 digits. So we say reset all, everybody goes to 0. And that's how you would do that. Now, one-shots. I think that's the last thing we're going to cover. Now, a one-shot, sometimes you'll get a bounce on your switch. And I tried this trying to get it to happen, but I could not get it to happen. So sometimes you do, though, have a bounce, or you only want something to scan the rung once, and that's it. In that case, you're going to put a one-shot, ONS. And I use one-shots all throughout the whole program, and the place that I currently work at kind of taught me this is the best way to go. We're just going to have a tag, a double integer tag called one-shot, and the reason we want it to be a double integer is because we can name the whole thing one-shot, and when we look at it in the tags, we got 32 of them, but all with the same name. So one-shot 0, 1, 2, 3. If we use them throughout the whole program, it's just easier than trying to name it like Bill's one-shot or whatever. So what a one-shot does is when I press this, it seems to be coming on. Oh, it's already in here somewhere. I used it somewhere else. See that? You don't want to ever use it in more than one place. This is my logic for the HMI. So we're going to change that to one-shot 1. And what I did there to find it was cross-reference. If you can cross-reference any tag in the program, and it'll give you every place that that tag shows up. For instance, we got PB1 start here and here. If I cross-reference it, it'll show me both of those, and you can go to them. It's very useful. So anyway, back to one-shots. What a one-shot's going to do for you is the program scans from top to bottom. Sorry about that pause there, just looking at something. The program scans from top to bottom. So it goes rung 0, 1, 2, yada, 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 yada. So what a one-shot does is, even though this is on right now, the program is going to scan it once and on the rising edge kind of lock it. So nothing's going to get past that one-shot again until the instruction, all the instructions on the rung before it go low again. And then once it goes high again, it's only going to give one shot. So that's the point of a one-shot. And if anybody has any questions about that, you can always go up here. I was going to say you could email me, but for all these instructions, this help up here is extremely helpful. Instruction help. It's not like normal software help where it's not helpful. You have all the instructions that you have at your fingertips here. So if we wanted to look at one-shot and look at the explanation of a one-shot, here it is. And they use it in a example here, and they do a pretty good job of explaining all these instructions, how to use them, what all the different sub-instructions within it are. It's very useful. I would suggest checking it out. So I wanted to cover one-shots, timers, counters, CPTs, and moves and resets, and I think I accomplished that. So I am going to close this one out. I'm Vince Anthony with Anthony Automation and by